before I dive into the insights from our sessions, I want to really share a funny story and a lot of gratitude. So the funny story is we have this Zoom link today for panelists, and every time one of us, like Martina or Alexander or other colleagues, were speaking, I wanted to send those hearts you can do in a regular Zoom session. But now a panelist, we don't have this sign. So I was, looking for this way to express my, inspiration and gratitude for what we are sharing today, but couldn't find it. So now I can speak, and I want to share gratitude to all of us, of course, to the team of Eco-Civilization, who was organizing all those, activities throughout the year. And it takes a lot of energy, to Violeta and Martina. Special thanks go to you because, as I wrote in this chat, we have a model of really how to create, conditions conducive to life in the cities, and it's called the 7C. It's from creative energy to collaboration, etc., etc. And the final one we had there is the co-creation and the capitalization, the 10 types of capital, which we increase by working together, etc. And you just added the 8C, which is a co-transformation. Thank you very much. It's a very important part. So diving into the experience that we had in two sessions, I believe in April and then in August this year. Number one, it was very rich. We spoke about whether the size matters for leadership in the modern, new world, and the other session was about the future of leadership and future leaders, how we will create conditions for collective transformation, etc. And what I did before our session today, I actually listened to both of those sessions, and it was so enlightening and such a gift. I will send all my notes. Those are just some small notes. I will send them in the chat in case you will enjoy them when I finish speaking. But it's amazing. We had about maybe 10 to 11 people participating in those two sessions, and there was a range of insights going from a very practical, because we spoke about how you transform communities, right? How you work on the ground, how you deal with difficult issues when you don't have enough resources, for example, right? Or when you have tensions between people, how you work with those tensions. And so lots of beautiful approaches and tools and concepts were shared, but I want to focus right now on a few insights which will maybe complement what we have been speaking about today so far, and bring maybe different dimension. So one of them, and maybe it should be the last one, but I'll take it as the first. In this world of complexity, there are so many different challenges we face on the personal level, on the level of relations, places where we live, in the living cities Earth, which Alexander and Violeta mentioned. It's a global community of thought leaders and action leaders. We deal with issues that arise not only in the relationship field, but also in infrastructure, technological field, etc., for people who live in different places, right? Whether it's cities or small villages, or eco-villages, for example, towns. And we notice that the level of complexity is growing, and capacity to deal with multiple challenges which arise, sometimes it feels overwhelming. So many people, maybe we know a little bit sometimes, although we tend to use this concept of not knowing for the new leadership, but still sometimes we have a sense that we know how to deal with things. But many people whom we meet in a daily life, they feel overwhelmed. They have those issues of mental health, for example, because it's overwhelming how to deal with this world. And what we found throughout all of our research and exploration is that there is always one simple answer. And they might sound simplistic, but through all of our conferences, etc., we realize that there is one element which is the key to virtually any situation. And this key is love, L-O-V-A. L-O-V-E, love. Alexander and I co-chaired a conference a couple of years ago, and Marina helped us organize this sort of whole event. And there were about 90, maybe 92 speakers from many countries, etc. And it was going on for 3 days. And we were looking for, again, for the answer, how to deal with those multiple problems and issues and challenges that we face in life. And the final answer was that love is the answer. And it was such a simplistic in a way, but such a powerful finding. So I want to bring this element into our discussion today, that leaders of the future, they know how to connect with their inner core, their heart, right? And they can both experience this magic of love internally, but also bring and not being afraid of bringing the feelings, the sensation, and actually the positive energy of love into the relational field and also into our ecosystems of action, whether it's in the organizational setting or in a city, and so on and so forth. So how do we experience love? Yeah, you could ask, because one thing is to talk about it, and another one is to be in the state of love and then act in the state of love, uh, even when we don't have enough, sleep. Like me, I didn't sleep much today. It's 7 a.m. and I finished my work at 3 a.m. So sorry for my voice, it's a little bit low. How do we experience love when we feel that we are overstressed, right? We don't have enough resources. We don't have the answers. And what I want to suggest to you is to have a small experiment, and maybe to give ourselves a gift of silence, and just to, for the next 55 seconds, to review both your inner state, how do you experience life right now, but also give attention to how are you in your relations with people who are important to you, how are you in your relation with your surroundings, the place where you live, and what's your relationship with our sort of planet. So next 45 seconds, if you want, you can close your eyes, or stay sort of with open eyes, and just scan all aspects of your life in the present, and then we'll continue. And see how much all those dimensions are filled with love, or maybe there could be more love in your life. So enjoy this small exercise. And while we do it, you could also check what can you do to increase the level of love in every dimension of your life. Ten more seconds. Thank you very much. Let's come back into our shared space. So I'm sure that it was a resourceful moment. As leaders and sort of active people, we always drive forward. And I always learn from Violetta. Sometimes I send her a text message or an email, and she responds, "Sorry, you understand, I am away for next couple of months. You know where to find me." So do we know where to find ourselves? That's the question, right? Sometimes we are so busy with the external lives that the question comes to build those relationships with people around us, to take care of the communities and cities and the planet, to create connection with others. As Marina shared in our session, do we have connectedness or disconnectedness from ourselves, right? Where to find Lev, for example. Sometimes I think, okay, where am I? And so our speakers in those sessions, they also shared that it's always important to start with our inner dimension, right? And transform our inner dimension in order to create positive change outside. I love what Violetta and others have shared about the new type of leadership, where we are no longer the king type of leadership, when we are up front going into the future and leading all the others, sort of the crowd behind, but when we use other leadership models, and not only those which are described in the literature for centuries, like shepherd who goes in the back, right, but also I love this concept of emergent leadership or leadership for emergence. When we listen to the field, when we create conditions for people to co-create and share this magic that Alexander referred to. And uh, I will send all the notes in our chat from our conversations in the past. But one more thing is how do we go from the win-lose type of communication and leadership when we win sometimes for ourselves, but sometimes for our group or even our city, but then we take the resources from the external systems, right? But how do we go to the win-win-win leadership when we both create conditions when everybody wins, us, other people, and the whole sort of eco-civilization that we are trying to build together. So I'm sure that maybe I need to pass it on to other colleagues. So maybe last comment, outside of love, I would like to share the formula which came to me right before our session in August, and it came in a dream. And it came because I was participating in a spiritual sort of retreat, Buddhist type of retreat in Italy. And I had a lot of, issues and challenges in my life, all sort of interesting and positive, but still overwhelming. And I asked my teacher, who deceased a few years ago, but sort of we still keep this spiritual, let's say, connection. So I asked him how to manage this complexity, the VUCA bunny, wrapped world Alexander always refers to. And then I had a dream, and he came in this dream, and he gave me a very simple answer, and it's been, what, 4 maybe months ago, and it works in absolutely every situation in my life as a key, right, as love. So, and the formula is be, love, do. So first, be present, fully present. And when you move into the state of total sort of unconditional presence, immediately you gain incredible power. You also connect with yourself, you connect with others if you are in a relational system, and you connect with the world. Not only be, the next step is love. And love is really opening up your heart and connecting with everything as if it's your intimate part of yourself, expanding yourself to be one with the world, as they say. And then you have the capacity to deal with any situation, however difficult, whether it's whether it's finance or health or tensions in a team or anything else. So I want to share this sort of small gift with all of us and who will be listening to the recording. So be, love, and then do, not do right away from the state of confusion and tension, etc., etc. So thank you again for this wonderful opportunity. I'll send some of those comments from our sessions in our chat. And Violetta, colleagues, thank you. Let me pass it on to our next speaker.
Lovely, Lev. Thank you also for sharing your tools to deal with this VUCA world, challenging but still full of opportunities. Thanks a lot. So this would be a perfect match now for Manica to step in. Please, the floor is yours.
Yes, I was feeling into that. Well, the theme that I was working on with the leadership challenge was leadership in emergence, and that's like completely connected with the new set of skills that we are mentioning today: the emotional empathy, the system empathy, so being empathic toward the changes that needs to be done in organizations that can then support our transitions and transformations. And the colleagues that were on the panel that I was coordinating had really amazing perspectives, and they all collided with all the aspects that we were absorbing from the practice that we had. Is that first you have to tune into who you truly are. When we are talking about co-creating our new paradigm, you have to know who you are. If you don't know who you are, you cannot create magic, you cannot create miracles, and you will not feel this twinkling, because it's like truly connected with your role and your purpose in existence, and that's important. It's really important. We, as an individual person, we are very important. And I think that this is something that lacks to all the collaboration and big ideas that we have about the future. So when we are talking about the best culture, the best climb, organizational behavior, we are actually have to create a safe space for us to make mistakes, to experiment, to pilot. And the safe space comes from, as Mar said, from emotional empathy. If we are able to flow from lower vibrational emotions to higher vibrational emotions, we need this capacity of the flow. And as Lev said, it's about love. And I would add to that, it's about to free our love. So it flows, so it spreads. Because if you capture love just in your heart or just in the part of your body, it's not enough. It's got to flow. It's got to connect all parts of us. So we are intertwingling inside our body and then co-transforming our community through our entanglement inside and outside. So interconnectivity, it's all connected. So it's so complex and so beautiful. And what I came to is also this relation between entropy and syntropy. And I really resonated with Lev when you said that how you were overwhelmed because of the complexity that's coming through the cities and through the technology and everything. And this is exactly what syntropy of the nature is teaching us, because it's the force of the nature that we do not have to control. We don't have to contribute. It's just there. We just have to be present to it and learn from it. And as you said, when we connect to our essence, to who we truly are, we are first in the safest space in the world. It's when you are connected to every bit of ecosystem, every human being, everything there is. And at the same time, you receive the knowledge, the knowing of the cosmos, of every essence that it builds us. So the presence and the skills that are needed in emerging is being ready to evolve all the time. And that's not easy. It's easy to talk about it, but when we hit the brick wall of organizational structures and people or politicians stuck in old paradigm, we need compassion and we need understanding. And the only way I see it is the soft way. You cannot force the transformation of a person. You can just form an environment where everyone will feel safe to experiment and to do things differently, and not being focused so much, being goal-oriented, solution-oriented. It's being process-oriented, because this is completely connected to, is there a time? I don't feel it, because if I want to create something, if I'm not present, the future won't exist and the past will hold me back. So it's the only thing is this presence, and it can be created through working together, not competing, but collaborating and sharing and being transparent. But again, we are all conscious and awaken to the fact that, as Mar said, there is a lot of intransparency and corruption. But what we have to admit to ourselves, that's all us. There is not they and we are all corrupted. We are all good and bad. So when we accept that in ourselves, we can cooperate with those that we maybe fear, or we think that there is a danger of changing the paradigm. And maybe one last thing is also connected with entropy and syntropy, is that there was a research made, do we care for a planet? And 8% of people really care for a planet, but there is a paradox when those 80% of people are convinced that the neighbor doesn't care. So they don't connect, they don't collaborate. And this is, of course, connected with the entropy being present in every mainstream media or news or teachings that are not being aware of the huge help that we have through syntropy. So maybe a call for knowing that there is the force that is evolving the earth, is evolving the cosmos, and it's evolving us to more and more complex human beings and environments, and that we do not have to find out all by ourselves. Just be present and watch the surroundings. Don't do it too fast. Yeah. Thank you.
Lovely, Manica. Powerful messages and very fresh language as well. Thank you for conducting this important session and sharing it with us. Thanks a lot. Andrea, you brought always a very diversified group of people to your sessions, and constantly searching for these new competences that we talk about it so much. So I'm looking forward to your contribution, and then we'll have a discussion again. First, I'll ask Alexander and Martina to reflect, and then we will invite the rest of the colleagues who are here today with us also to share their own points of view. Please, Andrea.
Thank you, Violeta. A few years ago on the event that you was co-organizing, somebody told me, do not shine the light where the light is already. Therefore, we also need to invite the people, the stakeholder from very different spheres of the life. And I really try to combine the perspective into the panel discussion. But to share the first, I'm really humble and grateful to be the partner with Lev, Mar, with you, with everybody who contributed this year, because as Alexandra said, this was a holding place for this intertwingle on the multiple dimension. To give you the example, everybody participating here, we are also walking the talk in our business life and in the professional life. And in particular, in the business life, it is not always easy because they do not understand. But when you hear exactly the same words from everybody from you, like what Leo shared, this exercise, this is how we are starting the meetings every week, because if we are not, after so many disturbances, after so many things happen to the people, we need to align, we need to come together. So this is the first thing before we start the discussion on the meeting. And this is beautiful to see how we are putting the pieces together, although we are on the very different places around the world. Today I was late because I was lecturing. I had the MBA students in the morning, And just to come with the three things what came out because we talk about the limits of the planet, and as you know, this year, if everybody would live like the people live in US and do the business in US, we would need 5 planets. And this is something that, you know, it's although the students has been from Germany to Indonesia, but 50% has been here from Slovenia. It does affect the perception, in particular because they are like 24 to 28 years old. And at the end of the discussion, when we find out the nature is complex, bureaucracy is complicated, and now within these two pools, they need to find a solution, and honestly say, all the other generation, including us, although we maybe tried, but we couldn't come to the solutions. We are maybe on the path, but we don't see the solution yet. And this is on their shoulders. So these are our kids, you know, they just finished high school, they graduated, they are now starting the business life, and they're facing everything. They would like to succeed in some business terms, but the world that is ahead of them is completely different. So it was very interesting discussion that remind me on the both two panels that we have here with the eco-civilization. Violeta, if you would allow, I have only a few slides to share some comments, because it was really very impressive discussion. Please let me know if you see. Yes. Okay, so we started in March. I think that was the first panel discussion after the opening of the year leadership challenge, and it was under the question about the leadership in the age of the disruption. So does that mean is this transformation, or is something else? And just a few bites from that. Dr. Miha Škerljevaj, he emphasized, his message was, leadership is not disappearing, but is decentralizing. So the best leaders, the best leaders create conditions where leadership emerges everywhere, not only at the top. And almost the same words has been repeated by Delors. Laura was, she's heading the biodiversity agency within European Commission. So it was very important to see that the same idea is emerging, not only in the business, not only in the academics, but also in the public administration. But then we have completely different perspective, and that has been the Natasha and Natalia from this grassroots movement, from the protests that are still held in Serbia. So you remember that was in March, and these protests are still going on. And although that discussion was at the very beginning, but I think that more and more what we see, of course, they have a lot of problems. It is the question how this will evolve. But the foundation, how they started, without any single figure that would be the leader, but with the collective participation, co-creation, I think that Violeta, you share after that this can really lead to something, the example for the leadership development worldwide. We have talked today a lot about the AI, and Mitya, who also participated at the panel, was very interesting because, you know, this is one of the main centers for the AI development. He mentioned AI won't replace leaders, but it will replace the leaders who refuse to evolve. And it was really beautifully to hear that also from the part that usually would say that the AI in general will replace the majority of the functions what we see. And yes, I will quote twice today, Marina, you, because you beautifully emphasized that in the age of the disruption demands leaders who think ecologically. So no decision exists in the isolation. And this systemic thinking, systemic approach, I think that was very visible also in our second discussion. that was in September about what define new leadership. Here, I would like to start with Sonia. Sonia, I see that you are today here as well. Not only Sonia was not only making some alignment with her IU model, but she also emphasized that one leadership quality has expired, and this is the belief that the leaders must always be strong. And that today the most powerful leadership act is to admit vulnerability and to stay fully present. And this was also emphasized by two other panelists that in general, I must say that it was in alignment with all of discussion after that. Sanchita, who is not here with us today, but she was really regular or the majority of the panels under this topic. She emphasized that the long-term value creation requires leaders to unlearn more than what they learn. So the bravest leaders are those who question their own assumptions first. And finally, again, Marina, leadership today means taking responsibility at the intersection of human well-being, ecological reality, and technology. The same what Alexander and Leo today also emphasize. So anything else less is incomplete leadership for these times. As mentioned, we have also Ned and Edith who comply with what was emphasized by Sonia. So the most dangerous illusion leaders carry is that compassion is softness. In reality, compassion combined with accountability is the most advanced leadership skill of our time. And similarly, we heard from Nate that the leaders fail when they confuse feelings, valuable well-being, invulnerable. So true leadership begins when we acknowledge that we are capable, responsible, and human. Again, in alignment with many thoughts and ideas that we talked today. So I dare, Violeta, also to take your thought. So the leadership is shifting from guiding people to guiding possibilities. The future belongs to custodians, not commanders. And finally, I shared some data from the diagnostics of this year, world around, and there are 3 very strong trends that we see in all corners of our planet. And the first is that a lot of things are hide behind the everything is okay mask. So leadership is quite masked and is hiding what was also emphasized today, the fatigue, the confusion, the mental health situation. And also we can see all around the world the new pandemic, and this is the pandemic of the burnout and of the exhaustion. Secondly, the managers, instead to be evolved, they are becoming a wall. So they are not a bridge, they're a wall. They hardly absorb the pressure, external pressure, but also then they should engage, empower the people that they are leading, but they rather behave as the bridge. And finally, very interesting finding in the year with so many turbulences that precede so many chaos and the turbulences in the past year. One single thing that is really a saving spot in such situation are the values and the shared vision, shared mission, shared values in particular inside of the organization. Unfortunately, this is also what we notice, that the situation is declining all around in the whole organization. It doesn't mean the people are entering the business processes with their personal purpose. Unfortunately, there is no shared values and no shared vision anymore. Somehow we can explain that because the turbulences and the change is so fast that you cannot take all those participatory models to engage on people. But on the other side, you're losing your team to walk with you through such chaotic situations. So Instead, what leaders now really talk around the world, the presence, courage, systemic insight, humility, co-creation, emotion, intelligence, collective leadership, the data show some quite opposite. So raising burnout, misalignments, exhausted managers, fragile communication, disappearing trust, lack of shared meaning, weak leadership presence, and systemic blind spots. So to wrap the both panels together, organizations want to have post-heroic leadership, but unfortunately the data show that they are structurally stuck in the heroic models. Secondly, leaders say systems matters, but organizations are systemically misaligned. So strategy, culture, people, reality do not flow in the one direction. And finally, most organizations want stewardship-focused, ethical, humble leadership, but their culture and the systems still reward and acknowledge the opposite. So if I can conclude, the joint belief was that the leadership is not ending, but it is really transforming. And the shift is from leadership to custodianship, from ego to ecology, and from power to shared responsibility. That was from our side.
Thank you very much, Andrea, for this rich reflection as well. And I think you, Lev, and Manica gave a lot of fruitful thoughts to Alexander and Martina, and I'm sure that Ursula and Marina, who also joined us in panelists level, will have something to share afterwards. So Alexander and Martina, the floor is yours.
This time you should go first, Martina.
Martina, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, you are mutable.
Okay, thank you. I will try to wrap up the thoughts of all today's speakers, because it's really coming to this complexity, and it's really connected with the original meaning of my last name, putting things in order. So I think this is really emphasized ability of leaders and managers to move from a very strategic point of view to very operational, from macro to micro. We are really challenged not just with the amount of events and informations and stimulus, but also with their deepness. So it's really important to embrace the ability to gear among different dimensions of reality as smooth as possible. And this is really one of the crucial parts of transformational capacity in leadership. If I move from individuals to organizations, I think I'm speaking about that now for more than a year, maybe for 2 years, that society today is segmented by level of awareness in all 6 dimensions by Keegan. So it's not segmented anymore by power or knowledge or information, but by level of awareness. And it's important to be aware that it's not important to put the focus only on self-insight, but also in other 5 dimensions, in perspectival awareness, in contextual awareness, in complexity awareness, in compassion and empathy, and also with in the dimension of relational awareness. And this is just an example of mental maps, because what does it mean that we are overwhelmed? It really means that we are lost in abundance of everything. But it's connected to what we were speaking in the first part. It's about letting go. We don't need to understand and to know everything. We just need an approximate notion of the maps, and then to connect within them according to our inner being, according to our own alignment. Okay? So this situation in organizations about which Andrea was speaking about, it's something I'm noticing already for 10 years, and it's increasing. But why? Because people think that it's the same in every organization, that they can function the same in every organization, that all organizations have to be the same, that all organizations have to be most developed with all current models, that every person have to be perfect in every dimension. That's not possible, and it's not necessary. We just have to know who we are and where we belong, and to search for our own flock of birds. And then we can fly without too much effort, without this exhaustion and burnout. This is Aikido principle, I think. So this is it.
Lovely, very rich. Could you share all those different types in the chat, please, that you talked about? And Alexander, the word is yours.
Lovely indeed. So being aware of who we are. Well, we were 5 women and 2 men here on this conversation, and then and Mar was with us, and maybe Scylla's someplace here, and now we have Marina and Ursula. We have 7 women and 2 men. This is good. This is good, and this is a good reflection of how I think things need to be. I'm so glad that there are at least 2 men. I mean, not at least, that are only 2 men. It's good, good. But yes, this is the right flowing, and I think nurturing and curating. And these are all the things that are part of our moving from just mindset and skill set to heart set engagements, including, right, these dimensions. So this type of leadership that is truly feminine is, I think, just it's timely. It's absolutely need this. And Martina was just talking about, flocking and flowing. I like to think of us perhaps as human tuning forks. You know, the tuning fork that you hit and it vibrates, it has resonance. How can we have our own resonance as human tuning forks, but in harmony with life, with all life, right? And that's a sensing into. It allows us to human well if we do this. I'm thinking about how we have to remember these abilities that we have to human well. If you were to take a modern human being, for example, an Alexander, and drop them in the middle of a forest late at night, someplace, Alexander would be pretty lost. He'd look around, there would be trees, couldn't even see the stars. Not that Alexander is very good at navigating by stars, but the point is, if you are living in cities and you are working on your technological devices, and then you are back in nature all of a sudden, you are lost. But truly, our capacities have been, and most and many autochthonous indigenous people, you put them in the middle of the forest at night, it really doesn't matter which forest. They're found. They're not lost. They're embedded. The trees know where they are, and they know how to listen. So how can we regain those capacities? It is a form of love, of caring, of non-objectifying the trees and nature and each other, right? I think this comes to something also that we've been talking about. You mentioned it just now, Martina, as well, a kind of relational intelligence. And I think that is, maybe that can be part of what we focus on in 2026, right? In our conversation. What does it take to cultivate a relational intelligence? And how can that be fed by and contribute to a systemic consciousness? Yeah, not machine system, but living system, loving system. I'm going to put here this little quote from Teilhard de Chardin. I love this. He says, "Someday, when we have harnessed the power of the sun and the waves and gravity, we will learn how to harness the power of love. And then, for the second time, we will have discovered fire." I mean, the power, right? Now, harness doesn't mean to manipulate. No, that's exactly not that framing, right? But it's to hold and to engage with this type of, well, as Lev said, to be, pause, love, pause, and do, right? It's no rushing with that. And that comes from Lawrence Bloom, my friend who passed away a few years ago. He says whenever he is stuck in a situation and wonders what to do, it's a wonderful leadership capacity. What do you do when you have to make difficult decisions? He asks the question, what would love do? And then waits and listens. I mean, imagine if more leaders would do that. If we could do that, what would love do? And just wait and listen for what comes forward. So the last thing is this idea of, they talk about live and let live. Yeah, that's nice. But I think these times call for us to live simply so that others may simply live. And there's a humbleness. And well, it's part of what, Martina, you were referring to, that learning how to flock with the rest of the birds. It's not just other humans. It's the flow, right? And this is the concept of syntony that I often engage with, but that's exactly what this is about. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Very rich and very deep. Now I'm inviting Martina, Ursula, or anybody else, Manica, Andrea, Lev, if he's still with us, to share, if you're willing to, your own inner reflections.
Well, if I may.
Please, Ursula.
Thank you very much, Violetta, for inviting me also to the panel of this wonderful meeting. It came last minute, but fortunately I was free for the afternoon, so I thought I better join in, because it's always so amazing to follow your talks, and be part of it is even more amazing. Thank you to all of you for sharing what you have brought forward in the discussion. And I'm deeply touched, I must say, because normally in the economic and company environment, there is not much space for this kind of conversations, at least in my experience. And this live simply so that others may simply live, that really has rung a bell within me because I'm into sustainability. I'm a sustainability expert and I run the CSR Dialogue Forum, which is also very much into sustainability. And that's just, it's all about that as well. And as I've written in the comments, we will have another of the conferences where you, Monica and Martina, had attended last September. And I want to share a few findings of this conference with you, where we were talking about leadership. The white paper is in the final phase of preparation, but UNIDO is not very quick in, giving it, giving their last okay. But one of the things that struck me was that because in this context was we need ethical leadership as a catalyst for transformation. I think ethics, and one of you mentioned values, is a very, very important notion when it comes to leadership. And when I reflect on leadership being discussed in the sustainability context, many people are going the way that they say, we do not need leaders, that order and that follow a hierarchical approach, but we need mentors to guide the people on their path and empower them to bring the best of their talents into the discussion and into the company. And Alexander, you mentioned the diversity topic, many ladies, only two men. And in all of the conferences panels where we talked about CSR, about circular economy, about sustainable finance, and about peace, everywhere we had the topic, we need more women in decisive roles and in leadership, because everyone is going to thrive better if women are included in decision processes. Also maybe Violetta, you can share the petition once again, because we also need it in political decision making. And I think if that would be one of the steps where we can go further, include more women in decision making roles in higher, not hierarchical, but in roles where they can take influence. We could also change a lot of the VUCA challenges we have for the better. So that's only a small glimpse of what I wanted to share with you. And thank you once again.
Thank you, Ursula. Thank you for cross-pollination between our Year of Leadership Challenge and this really important conference that we had in the United Nations headquarters in Vienna. I think that one of the messages that I would just add to your comments is that in order to get the world at the table, which I don't want to have women at the table, I want to have world at the table, which means 51% of women, 49% of men. It's just a decision. You remember I shared that what President Juncker did during our mandate in the Commission in Brussels, 2014 to 2019. He came the first time we had official college, the meeting of all commissioners. He said, we're going to raise the presence of female leaders within the Commission from 23 to 41 in 5 years. And you can imagine some of the faces that were in the room, because that was almost an impossible task. It was just a statement. And all we needed to do to succeed that was make very clear one rule, that if women apply, they will be treated equally. When we left, 43% of leading positions within the Commission were taken by women. So that was, for me, such a powerful demonstration of the right thought at the right time, at the right place. Nothing else was needed. A request of somebody who believed in the world, not just in 49%. And one rule that was clear to, at that time, underrepresented sector, which were women, that they will be treated fairly. And all of a sudden, there was plenty of female leaders that were applicable. Yeah. So maybe this example can really demonstrate and gives us more hope that the world can change faster than we think. But we just have to dare to say it at the right place, at the right time, with the right level of confidence.
And women need to say yes to leadership roles. I think also one of the obstacles we face sometimes.
Thank you very much, really, Ursula, for this important contribution. And Marina, would you like to come in?
Yes, thank you. Maybe a couple of minutes, last minutes, we could dedicate to the preparation of the book, which will be published in April 2026. And Violetta also mentioned that we are still inviting all people who want to contribute, and especially let me use this chance to invite all the panelists who haven't given their contribution yet. Please share your ideas, and we will include them into the book. And I just wanted to maybe share a small information about can I yes I can. So I will share our ideas about the book. So here will be the cover of the book, and thanks to Violetta, I have the opportunity and the honor to co-edit and to help Civilization to collect all the information and all from all the contributors. And again, I would like to thank each leader of the subsection which we had during the year of the Leadership Challenge. And it would be great if each of our leaders would provide some small introduction to their part. Again, today we heard absolutely wonderful summaries of what being discussed in each section. So I think that it would be great if we could provide not only articles from each contributor, but also some summarizing materials from each section. It would be great. So I will skip some of the presentation slides because Violetta also already mentioned in the very beginning the purpose of our work and the book and core questions which were addressed. So we are staying true to the main focus, which was initially put at the core of our yearly work, our annual work. So also please write either me or Violetta, and she will give you my contacts. I will provide you with this presentation so that you could have the clear instructions if you are willing to contribute an article to the book. And here I wanted to share the authors and to thank those people who already contributed, who sent their texts. It would be great if the text will be in Word, so it would be editable, and we will be able to also provide some pictures. It would be great if you share some pictures and some illustrations for your articles as well. And as I already mentioned, it would be great if Andrea and Lev would also contribute some of the ideas. And we are waiting for the updated version of the article from Ravi. And Alexander, please, it would be an honor and a great pleasure to receive your article with the ideas which you shared both today and in the very beginning of the year. So please share your contributions with us. About deadlines, we promoted the idea that each speaker could contribute in 2 weeks after the session. But again, we are collecting all the information, I think by the end of the year. Yes, will it be okay? By the 1st of January. So you have a month and 5 days to contribute, and we will be really honored and glad to receive the contribution from you. So thank you, and I hope that we will meet either online, or it would be great to meet in person at the presentation of our book in April 2026.
Wonderful. Thank you, Marina. And today, Mar just proposed that we do it live, and she proposed that we do it in Brussels. So let's work towards that. So if the book comes out in April, let's say by June, we should have an official launch somewhere out there. And it's actually a bold idea. And we have some strong organizations now placed in Brussels that are female organizations as well, who would be gladly supporting us in preparation of this launch. So those that won't be able to make it, we'll invite you on Zoom, of course, and that we can all continue to contribute, all those co-creators that were shaping the whole year and the book itself. So yes, please, Ursula, go ahead.
Not too late. We could also launch it at the conference.
That's September, right?
Will probably be September.
Yeah. Okay. That would be then in Vienna, in UN. That's equally attractive, I have to say. So, and it's good to demonstrate cross-pollinations. That is great. That's another thing that I really, really appreciate in these years that we're launching, topic years, is that now we're trying to bring different networks together. We try to cross-pollinate, bring different points of view, and bring us together closer, that we actually give a chance to each other to learn how to co-create, how to collaborate. Because my experience is that often we think we're so great in it, but when it comes to the real point of collaboration, I think Martina talked about this, was, we try to overpower somehow and get it done as fast as we can. So the patience that we need for collaboration, we're yet to develop. And this is beautiful when we actually feel safe that we will help each other. We are helping each other to learn that, because we all were raised in hierarchical frameworks, I dare to say. So we need to unlearn more than we learned, as we've heard from Sanchita, right? And Andrea shared that with us. So this is something that is so exciting, that we're coming people together, regardless of the age, that are willing to relearn and learn and forget. So that's very noble. If we can demonstrate that to young people, I think that could be a very rich sort of inheritance that they can get. So yeah, cool. Maybe we should think about that too. Yeah, let us follow up on that, Ursula. Anybody else would like to reflect before I cease the recording? Any last thoughts? If not, then I will just say, to end this official part, thank you again. It was really rich year. We learned not only about the topic of leadership per se, but we learned about all these different worlds that were mentioned today that are merging. And we are somewhere in between those realms, trying to swim and trying to breathe. And after all, we all try to evolve and contribute as well. So the messages, I think, were pretty clear. And as Marina invited so nicely, when they are written, they're forever. So let's do a good job. Andrea, please.
It's just one invitation or proposal, Violeta. Because we are at the end of the topic, or the end of the year that covered this topic. But leadership is everything. Leadership is horizontal, in every aspect of our lives. So I would like to challenge or invite you that each year, with all these other topics that you would address, you contribute a little bit to upgrade or to update the book or the knowledge that it will be collected about the leadership, because it is just the beginning of the path, not the end of it for that.
That's a great thought. And what I'm exercising, and you just really help it to clarify, is that at least once per year, we maybe can regroup and bring the rich experiences and what have we taken along on our journey from this joint efforts, what have we upgraded, what are the new experiences that we have learned. And yes, in digital sense, we can continue to upgrade the book itself, but as you said, we can add the leadership topic to every topic that we launch. So that is equally important. So let me pick up on that. Thank you for the initiative, very valuable one. Then thank you very much.